Laying in bed this morning with my wife, Jen, we were listening to the news reporting about Trump, saying that people who served in the military were losers and suckers. For a reason I didn't understand, my eyes just started watering and wouldn't stop. I didn't really feel much emotion, and so I asked my wife about it. You see, she's a therapist. She said that it's an anger response, and it comes out most often in men. Who knew? Sometimes when we get really angry, our eyes just start to water. Well, I've been angry before, but this was new to me, this nonstop, eye-watering anger. Listening to the news further, hearing Trump's reasoning that a lot of effort shouldn't be made to rescue those of us who were captured because we'd screwed up and gotten caught, just kept the water running down my face. For real, I thought? What the heck? So I thought I'd make a video and hope it would help so I could get on with my day. After all, it's Labor Day weekend, and I'd like something fun to do besides this eye-watering, not crying. This bullshit sucks. My dad served in the Navy as an aircraft maintenance officer on the USS Ranger. I served as a machinist mate on the USS Mississippi. My son is currently serving in the Colorado National Guard and deployed to Djibouti. As a family, we're all proud to have served our country. We didn't do it for the money, and we didn't do it because we didn't have anything else to do. I'm pretty sure we didn't do it for the long hours or the bad food. In fact, I've often wondered why we volunteered to serve. Especially as when I got out and was becoming a mountaineer, I'd see others who were returning from exciting expeditions in the Himalayas. And when I asked one woman how long she'd been climbing, she said 6 years. 6 years. That was how long I served in the Navy. What else could I have done with my 6 years? And it all seemed like a wash to me since I didn't go on to a career operating nuclear reactors as I'd been trained to do in the Navy. Instead, I used my leadership skills to lead wilderness expeditions for Outward Bound. And it wasn't until I started instructing trips for veterans that my service made sense. Whether backpacking, sailing, kayaking, canoeing, or rafting, getting together with other vets, hearing their stories, or just sitting around a campfire with them made me really proud that I'd served. I met amazing men and women. Most were well-adjusted and leading productive lives, but I also met many who had trouble holding down a job, were recently divorced, or were struggling in other ways. I met veterans who had lost friends, who lost limbs. I shared boats with veterans who'd lost their families. I heard stories of carrying down dead soldiers and how heavy they were. Physically heavy to carry a body down a mountain. There were ambushes with 100% casualties. Some of this trauma even rubbed off on me, and I'd find myself crying, usually when alone, thinking about some of them whose situation seemed so difficult. Those experiences became clues to the puzzle of why I served. That with the sacrifice comes some satisfaction of living in our country. We know we help protect it and our loved ones and families. I want to share a little story from my time at sea. A fellow sailor had come up missing. So general quarters, that call to battle stations, was given, where every hand is up and ready and accounted for. The sailor came up missing. We had been maneuvering in all kinds of circles for 4 hours from when it was first suspected that our sailor to have been missing. So we had to carefully reverse all those maneuvers and circles for hours. The sea state was rough with whitecaps aplenty. After a few hours, he was spotted with binoculars. He was waving his t-shirt. He was hard to distinguish from all those whitecaps. We lowered a launch and picked him up. He was a new sailor and had tried to kill himself by jumping off the ship. Watching our ship sail away, he changed his mind. After the Navy gave him an early discharge, he got a job working at a utility nuclear power plant. He would write me saying that I should quit the Navy, as the pay he was getting was triple what I was getting, and he was home every night with his family. I have to admit I was tempted, but somehow I just didn't want to walk away from my commitment, even knowing that I could get a better paying job. Maybe I was, as Mr. Trump said, a sucker for staying or even signing up at all. This is hard for me to say here. But my main point in this story is that even though it was hard to go back and recover that sailor, and we were all mad he'd jumped ship, but we were still happy we found him. We knew that if one of us would become missing, that our captain, our ship, and all our crew would do everything possible to come get us. I don't think Mr. Trump can really understand this. Recently, I found another piece of the puzzle about why I served. I'd been teaching guitar building and asked the Veterans Administration at Bay Pines if there was any of their psych patients who would enjoy and be capable of building a guitar using a cigar box. For the interview, I brought a cigar box guitar and an amp, and after the interview, while walking out, a patient asked if that was a guitar. I asked him if he wanted to hear some Lynyrd Skynyrd, and he said he loved that band. So I plugged in and busted out Give Me Three Steps. Another fellow came over in his wheelchair, missing a leg, but with the biggest smile on his face. The staff in charge of the floor came over and said, "Bart, you can come back anytime and play." Now, I'm not a great musician, but I felt like a rock star there in the psych ward. And if I ever feel like jumping ship and killing myself, I've made a promise that first I'm going back to the Bay Pines and sing and play for those vets who gave way more than I did and reassess my situation. So, Mr. Trump, if all this reporting is true, I hope it's not. But if it is, and you think those who serve our country in the military are suckers and losers, then I believe you've lost your way. Sailing at Outward Bound, we say boat, crew, self. That is, take care of your boat, then your crew, then yourself. So on a national level, we take care of our country, our land, our air, our water, our roads and bridges and infrastructure. We take care of our people. We educate. We take care of our sick and our helpless. And lastly, we take care of ourselves. You, sir, Mr. President, are supposed to be serving all of us, not just your base. Now giddy up.